Okay. Okay. Oh, I am back. There are 8 of you. Hopefully all 8 of you can hear me. I supposedly have 30 frames per second right now and a better signal. But I have my husband over here who's kind of feeding me information about what this looks like. I'm hoping this makes it better. Sorry, everybody. I'm like at the mercy of signal here, and I have 2 bars now, and I'm pairing through an iPad's cell phone signal. So we'll see if that works. Anyway, I'm just batch sewing some pouches, and I guess I'll... Okay, looks like Monica's back. Hopefully everybody else finds us again, but, if not, I'll be here anyway. Hopefully this is better. I'm sorry, I know that's like the worst ever to, have annoying signal. That sucks. So... Okay, well, I just finished batch sewing the fronts of these, and then I'm going to go ahead and, that's upside down, but doing all these, and I'm starting on the mushroom ones now. So, Lynn, I am doing okay. It's sore. My mouth is kind of sore, but I'm all right, and I just took Motrin and Tylenol, and that's basically what it is. I just take Motrin and Tylenol together, prescribed that way. And then I have like a bunch of rinses and stuff I gotta do, which is like blah. So, and I'm just doing that for a while. But I said earlier, I was like, I'll kind of show them, but I'm not gonna smile for real. Okay. I apologize. Corey told me he's watching it to let me know how it is for you guys, and he said that the audio and the video are not in sync. But pretty soon that's not gonna matter because we'll just focus on this and you'll just hear me talk when I talk. So I'm so sorry that all this is not working out as well as, signal, but fingers crossed it'll get better. It did the other night. So hopefully you can hang in there. Hello, Elizabeth. Lynn said, nope, yup. I don't know what that means. But I apologize for the technical difficulties. Let me zoom you guys in like here so you can see the sewing a little more. And then hopefully you won't be annoyed that the audio doesn't match up with my mouth. Then it won't matter so much. And hopefully you're looking at your own projects instead of looking at me anyway. Okay, is that gonna chill? Are you gonna chill? Okay, and then it won't even matter. Yeah, not in sync. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm at the mercy of the internet gods tonight, annoyingly. And just a recap for anybody who's making it in now or didn't make it in before, this right here is what I am batch sewing. These are my favorite little patterns, and the title where you can find it on Etsy is, it's in the title of the video here. It's BethaBags, and this is one of her patterns. And I just really love this zippered pouch. And I do it with fusible fleece on the top rectangular part. That's all I do. And then I do plain old vinyl on the bottom, marine vinyl, no interfacing, no nothing, and a waterproof canvas inside. So I really, really like the way this pattern is written. If you are a newbie who's looking to like build skill and just have a really well written pattern, this is the one. I think it's like right under $5 for a PDF pattern, and it comes with two sizes. So anyway, that's what I'm sewing up. Basics for the market. I'm going to a market on January. In a year from now, just kidding. I'm going to mark it on May 6th. Make sure I'm not sewing all my little mushrooms upside down. So once I'm done doing all of these, and I know any minute I'm gonna run out of bobbin thread, like I guarantee it. Put this one in and it was like not real full. So oh, Monica, you're doing your Wingo for tomorrow. I finished my Wingo, and do you know what time it is? I lost the little paper that came with it, and I need to put it in my calendar. So for now, I put it as an all-day event, so I remember that it's tomorrow, but I don't remember what time Wingo is. And I really want to make it because I've never made one before, and I sewed my thing up, and I'm all ready to go, and it would be exactly like me to forget about it. So if you know the time, that would be lovely. Otherwise, I was just gonna kind of, I don't know, try to figure it out. Ask somebody else, I guess, but I already forgot about it. But I have my board already. I'm excited. I'll have you know, Elizabeth, the dead male bees are still all over the place out here. So I guess there are lots of hives that need to be cleaned up, or I don't know, but they're still doing it, and I'm very curious now. I really want to know if there is an apiary around here, or if it is a natural hive, or what. I'm so curious. I've never seen so many dead male bees. They're everywhere. The other night on live, we were talking about beekeeping and bees and all that good stuff. I am just very tentatively waiting to run out of bobbin thread. I'm super paying attention to that because you know the minute I forget about it is the time it's going to run out. And that's how this works. Okay, all of these little front skis are assembled, and now I got top stitch. So, weird things on your mind. Like, you guys ever just wake up and something weird is on your mind? I don't know if that's, maybe not weird, but like a weird thing that you don't typically think about or whatever, and then for the day that's like a fixation in the back of your brain. And then, weirdly-er, do you ever have where said thing will end up showing up like in your ads or on your news feed, or a friend brings it up, somebody wants to talk to you about said weird thing? Is that a thing for anybody else? It's a thing for me. And today the thing was wedding rings. I don't really know why. I think because it's been weeks since I have seen my husband, and I got to thinking about, I don't know, just like, I don't know, I hadn't been wearing my wedding ring because I kind of tend to swell, and I was like, oh, I should wear my wedding ring today, like maybe my finger's not swollen anymore. And you know, so I wore my wedding ring today for like the first time in a couple days, whatever, just weird stuff like that being on your mind. Well, then a TV sitcom came on, and the TV sitcom King of Queens was the show. I had it, just queued up on the TV, whatever, in the background while I was cutting all these pouches. And what was the episode about? Engagement rings / wedding rings. And I just thought that was too funny. And I have that happen a lot. People always say, oh, glitch in the matrix or whatever. And so that is totally a thing for me, and that's been a thing all day today. And it made me think of, for one, my husband, because I haven't seen him in a while, and this is the longest that we've ever been apart. I don't even know how many weeks it is. And, we talk every day, but it's, you're still apart, whatever. And it got me thinking about, for one, when he gave me my engagement ring, and then two, when he gave it to me again, the second time. So, I guess, I don't know, for the sake of chatting and whatever, and if you guys have funny stories, then definitely write them in the comments, because I always love hearing that kind of stuff. Maybe not necessarily like, oh, how we got engaged, but there's always something funny, I think, anyway. There's humor in pretty much everything, and these are stories now I can look back and I can laugh at them. But at the time, they were, really upsetting and, mortifying. So the first of which is when we got engaged. We did get engaged at Disney World. My husband and I are big Disney people. We grew up with Disney, we're part of that generation, and so we just love Disney. And we had both been as children with our families, separately, of course. We didn't know each other as children. And we had not been, either of us, as adults. I think the last time my husband went, he was probably between the ages of 9 and 11, something like that. And I was 6, almost 7 years old. And I remember the trip very vividly. Always loved it there, wanted to go back. I have been to Disneyland a couple times as an adult. It wasn't, I liked it, but Disneyland is not quite the same as Disney World. But, at the time, especially when we got engaged, it still is very expensive to go, but that was like a save for many, many months kind of situation, and then, get to go kind of a thing. So my husband, in preparation to, propose, I had mentioned years prior that I, really wanted to go back someday as an adult, and I wonder what it's like, and, we talked about it, but it wasn't something we could easily afford. At the time, he was a freshly graduated college student, I was a waitress, we just did not have that kind of money, and so he saved up, and he planned the whole trip by himself, which, if you know my husband, super responsible guy, but he is not the planner in the group, all right? He is not the planning type. He asked me where I want to stay, and we just kind of discussed the budget, and that's the end of it. He doesn't have much say. Really, he's more about the travel, how are we going to get there, what that's going to cost, all that. I am much more about the accommodations and the activities. He kind of just goes wherever, doesn't really care. So imagine my surprise when he tells me, pack your bags, we're going to Walt Disney World. And I'm like, but wait, we have to plan all these things. We have to do all this stuff. And to be totally honest with you, I was terrified when he told me, oh no, I took care of the hotel and I took care of everything. I got it all planned out. Don't worry about it. And look, I love my husband. He's a super responsible guy. But one time we took a trip to California where he booked the hotel in the Bay Area, and this was mid 2000s, all right, and this hotel was like $100 a night, you guys, in the Bay Area, California, San Francisco. I was absolutely terrified because it was not good. We walked in, we checked in, we walked over to the room. There was a crack about this big under the door that all kinds of critters were just scurrying in and out of, and I was like, nope, we're leaving, and we did immediately. That was the last time he picked a hotel. So when he tells me we're going to Disney World and he's booked the flights and he's booked all the hotels and everything, I was like, okay. Very scary. But we got there and it was wonderful. That hotel we stayed at was the French Quarter Hotel on Disney property, and it's still one of my favorite hotels. Absolutely love that resort. We go back there even when we're not staying there just to eat, and kind of knew it was coming, but I didn't really know. And truth be told, I was so distracted by Disney World. I was so excited to be there. We were having such a fun time. It was the first time going back as adults. I hadn't planned anything, so I was going in there like eyes totally just like deer in the headlights, and I was having a really, really good time, just enjoying everything he had prepared and done. He got dinner reservations. I mean, he did everything, so I didn't have to do a thing. And I didn't really know what to expect, so everything was amazing, right? I had like no expectations. And I kind of completely forgot about the fact that I was pretty sure this was gonna happen. So it's my birthday, I'm all dressed up, I have on this cute blue dress, it's cold. It's so cold there in Florida, like 50s the whole trip. We were not prepared, so we were buying things at the stores because we were cold. We did not prepare for that at all. And luckily I did have this long sleeve dress, so I was doing okay. And we go to the Yachtsman is where we got engaged. Now, I'm going to preface this portion of the day by telling you guys this was day, I think, 2, like full day 2 of our trip. And I woke up so excited to go to the parks. And I was so excited to go to the parks. I ate like a little something in the morning, and then we hit the pavement. We went to the parks. I think we had Apple Watches at the time, and we did like 12 or 13 miles. Okay, we ran around all day, and I was so excited like a child. I didn't eat. I didn't eat all day long. I think I had a soda and maybe a churro at some point or like something like that. I didn't eat any meals though. So come dinner time, we go back to the hotel. I get changed into my cute blue dress. We get on the Disney bus to go to this restaurant I've never been to, and I am so excited to eat. I am starving. And my husband's hungry too, but you know, I don't really, I mean, I do get hangry, but not typically. I just get like wild. Like I'll do anything for food at that point, you know, like anything. And so I am at that point, I am ravenous, and our dinner reservation is at like, I don't know, 7:30, something like that. It's a later reservation, and that's way past my dinner time on a normal day. I'm so hungry. We're sitting there, and we checked in, and they're like not seating us, and the place is empty. It's like a ghost town. There's no one out in the hall. I'm sitting there like, oh my God, are they ever gonna feed me? I'm so hungry, and I'm getting like fog brain. Okay, all I can think about is eating. I'm not focused on anything else. And I'm sure, looking back on it now, my husband probably wasn't focused on anything else except for what he was about to do. And I just wanted a steak. I did not care about anything else. I'm going to pause and read these comments and make sure everybody can still hear me. Okay, well, it seems like you guys are following along with the story. So, sounds good. Okay, hopefully everybody can still hear me. If at any point it like freezes and you can't hear me, please tell me, because I mean, look, I got no clue. So, I am literally looking at the menu. You know, at a lot of places they have like the menu outside of the restaurant. I'm looking at the menu. I'm pacing up and down this hallway. I am starving. Well, we finally get sat, and it was only because I seem to recall one of us went up to the manager and we were like, hey, our reservation was like 45 minutes ago. Are you going to seat us? And he was like, oh yeah, right this way. He brings us in. And again, the inside of the restaurant is a ghost town. There's nobody here, and nobody came and went the time we were sitting there. So I really think they just forgot about us, honest to God. You know, fine, whatever. But then I'm like a little flustered and I'm frustrated. And, you know, I work in the service industry at that time. I was still a bartender and then also a fine dining restaurant manager. And I was like, are you kidding me? You know, so I'm getting flustered because I'm looking at this like, oh, this is the worst. And I'm hungry, you know, but I'm trying not to get caught up in that. So anywho, we get sat down. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to get, and I'm going to pair it with this, and I'm going to do this. I mean, I'm starved. And by the way, you know, financially, this was like the most expensive meal we had eaten pretty much ever. This was not a place we normally could have afforded. Even when we went there, we frankly couldn't afford it. But, you know, it was birthday, and then obviously my husband was, you know, making this grand thing, you know. So I couldn't even honestly tell you. If I don't really think we talked very much. I just remember being so freaking hungry and staring at the menu. And then, you know, the waiter, he did take a while to come over, at which point I was also a little flustered because I'm going, come on, you know, this is a nice establishment. What are you doing, buddy? Like, hurry up. And so when he came over, you know, I was like, hi, specials, whatever, I don't care, no big deal. Just please bring us bread. And he said, well, bread, isn't included. And I look at the appetizers and they have like it was like chutneys and spread, and it includes like bread and crackers and cheese. And I point to this and I just say, okay, we'll order this. We'll have this. Can it be out soon, please? I'm so hungry. And so he says, oh yes, we can order that. And then, do you know what you'd like to drink and all this stuff? And I said, just get the bread first. That'll be great. Water will be great. And then we'll order later. So, true to his word, thank God, this bread thing comes out pretty quick, and I pounce on it. And looking back on it again, I am like embarrassed, but my husband and I, we've been together for so long at that point, I'm not trying to impress anybody. And I am starving. And so this bread thing arrives, it's like a board, and it's got, some nuts and jams and chutneys and butter spread stuff and some cheese spreads. And I don't even really remember, but it was good and it was way too expensive. And I grabbed this bread, you guys, and I get the knife, I'm like chutney and cheese, and I'm putting way too much on this bread, by the way, and sticking this in my mouth. Seriously, I mean, if you could imagine like a cartoon character, it was so uncouth. It was terrible. I'm surprised he still wanted to marry me after that. And we are sitting, by the way, we're at a square table, okay? And I'm on one corner and he's on the corner next to me. So we're not across from each other, we're next to each other. And he is sitting on my right. And I have this cheese and this stuff in front of me, and I'm stuffing my face literally. I don't even think he'd eaten any of it yet. And he says something to the effect of me, and you guys, I'm so sad about this because I can't remember. He was so nervous, he doesn't remember. And I was so hungry, I couldn't hear him over the chewing and the lip smacking coming from me. He said something to the effect of, I know you really wanted that bread, but here's what I think you really want, or something like that. I think you really want this, something like that. And my arm was outstretched. He was on my right side next to this arm. My arm was outstretched to grab more bread. And so I couldn't even see that he had put down a box right here. If you guys can see past the machine, right here to my right, he put this little box down. I was so hungry, and I had this cheese spread on my fingers, the jam and chutney on my fingers everywhere. I had cheese on my face, like on my lips, and I paused kind of briefly in my eating to hear the last little thing of that, and then I see this little box, like right here, kind of in my armpit on the table, and I'm sticky, and I'm covered in cheese, and this little box is here, and I was mortified. Also, I was still hungry. I was like mid-bite. My mouth was full, and I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I did. I think I kind of put my hands in front of me like this with the jam and stuff all over me. And I just kind of looked at him and looked at the box, and it all sort of started to register. And then I was painfully aware of all the goo on my hands. And, I don't normally eat like that. I have pretty good table manners. So like, this was bad, like real bad, but I was so hungry. And then it sort of dawned on me that I was like, oh my gosh, it's my birthday. Oh my gosh, we're in the fanciest restaurant that I've like ever been in outside of the ones I've worked in. And I think honestly, if I even remember, it was so awkward because of everything. And I wiped my hands off, and I remember, kind of opening this little box, taking the little ribbon off. And of course I saw my wedding ring in there. Well, right in the middle of this, I hadn't even gotten a chance to say anything or like finish wiping my mouth. The waiter comes back, and he does not read the table at all, which I don't know how you couldn't. There's literally a ring in a box like on the table, buddy. But he did not, it didn't even register with him. So he doesn't say anything, and it's just like, have we selected our courses for the evening? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, this is so awkward, and I want to laugh, and I'm still covered in jam, and now I've got this ring, and I want to say we were like in the middle of taking it out of the box kind of a thing, like Corey was going to put it on my finger when the guy walked up. It was painfully obvious what was happening to everybody but him. And I think we paused and ordered. Maybe the ring had just gotten on my finger. It was definitely an awkward moment, that is for sure. And then we had to ask the waiter, like, oh, by the way, do you think you could take a picture of us? And he was really awkward about it. Like, he didn't want to do it. the whole thing, you know, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if he just was like tired at the end of the day. Maybe he just, I don't know, was coming off a divorce. I have no idea. But now that I look back on it, it's funny. It's a funny story. But when I thought about it at the time, I was both so excited about what had just happened, but I was also kind of miffed, like a little bit, because I was like, oh, you know, this is the big moment. You know, every girl, I was not really one of those girls, to be honest with you, that like dreamed of this. Okay. I mean, I always hoped I'd get married and all of that. And I loved my, you know, boyfriend at the time, but I had never really imagined this moment. So the fact that we were like at Disney and we're in this fancy restaurant and I'm eating all this fancy cheese and bread and I have on this cute dress and the ring is beautiful and oh, look, there's my, you know, now fiance and I love him and this is so great. And so it was a lot of emotions, but there was this underbubbling in me going, this service could have been a lot better, you know. That's what I did for a living. So it was really frustrating to me that it was like, this service isn't, you know, whatever. Now, obviously, I don't care. Even at the time, I didn't care. You know, we tipped well. It was fine. But, you know, it's like if you're a plumber and you can see the plumber's, you know, the plumbing is being done wrong, it's frustrating to you no matter what else is going on. So it was that. If you're a hairstylist and you see something going on, you're over there in your mind going, oh, you just did that wrong. Don't do that. That's bad for your hair or whatever. It was that. And so now it makes me laugh. And of course, like I said, looking back on it, I'm so mortified. I do have the awkward picture that we look so awkward. The look on our faces is like awkward because we don't know if we should like smile or if we should show off this ring. We are in these very awkward poses. It's kind of a funny photo when I look back on it and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, well, you know, whatever. But it cracks me up. In fact, I have my laptop here next to me and I bet you I can find the photo pretty quick because if I narrow it down by places, I bet you I can find it. And I laugh every time I see this photo now when it pops up because it's such a good memory and it is a funny story now, but at the time, oh my gosh, yeah, I was mortified. And then to top it off, we didn't tell anybody. We got engaged and we didn't tell anybody till Christmas Eve, which brings me to the next part of this story, by the way, which is the second time my husband gave me that ring. Where is this picture? I know it's in here. I'm in the album. Awkward little photo. Where are you? It's like the one photo we did not think to take. I mean, we were young and again, it was a lot. And now I am thankful to have the goofy story. Let me see. Here it is. I found it. This is such a weird looking I think in my head I just had like a lot going on. I don't know, you guys. It was also my birthday, and birthdays are really weird for me. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is the photo. Is the bread and the cheese even in it? It's not. It's not yet. I think we had just done a wine tasting. Like the waiter showed up with our bottle of wine. That's where there's a tiny bit in the glass. Because you can see we hadn't even like eaten. So, yeah. I'll leave that up on a few for a few on the screen. You know, my husband, he's like elated. I look so weird. And also, P.S. you guys, I am not photogenic. I'm awkward in photos all the time anyway, so that probably adds to it. I never know what to do in a photo. And then combined with, I did not smile with my teeth ever because of all of the ugly mouth stuff I had going on. So that's no reflection on this. I never smiled with my teeth. So that's the awkward little photo. So, in preparation for the next little story, while I sew the rest of these together, I'm going to pull up the next photo afterward. We were at Disney, by the way, for the remainder of the trip after, and we didn't tell anybody. We kept it a secret, which I'm still so happy that we did. We even took some photos where my ring was accidentally in the picture, and I made the photo people retake them because I didn't want to accidentally post them with the ring, and then we just didn't want to tell anybody, and we kept it a surprise for his family. You know, when we revealed it, and friends too, I hadn't really told anyone. But we did, you know, we took some cool photos in front of the castle under the fireworks and, you know, all that Disney-ish stuff. So that was really fun. And that made it really cool. So that was December 13th is when that occurred. And then, let me see here. Afterward, I think these are labeled. So we came back. And where are you? Photos. Wonder if I search for this, if it'll come up. Nope. Okay, so after that, we come back from Disneyland, or Disney World, excuse me, and we decide, where are these? Here we go. We decide, okay, we have to come up with some kind of an announcement for our engagement shoot. And I come up with the idea that I said, okay, well, we get together with his family Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, respectively. Okay, we do his mom's side on Christmas Day, and his dad's side, they're together, but just separately, and both mom and dad come with. But we do his dad's side on Christmas Eve. So Christmas Eve is first. So I'm engaged. We haven't told anybody, including his parents. So I slip the ring off and I give it to him, and we reveal it that night. But the lead up to that, Kay, we decided we were gonna tell them we're gonna play a game. That was what we came up with. So we tell them, okay, guys, we're gonna play a game. And what the game was, rewind to, I think it was like December 18th or 19th. It's really close to Christmas. And we get back to Arizona, where we were living at the time, and we decide we're going to drive up north. So anybody who's familiar with Arizona, we drove almost up to Heber, to an area called Sightgraves National Forest. Okay, and Sightgraves, it's accessible in the area, like easily to get into. You don't have to hike or anything to get into it. And so I got this ring, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, we have to make an engagement announcement. This will be really cool. It'll be pretty. So I think I don't know if I have an actual copy of the engagement, but I will show you guys the picture of how we did it in a minute. And my idea was I wanted to do a two-sided card, one of which had like a hint on it, and the other side would have like a picture of us and like the ring, and be kind of like this, oh, hey, we got engaged kind of thing, right? I'm gonna check this bobbin, because I still can't believe I haven't run out of bobbin yet. Good grief, there's a lot of bobbin on there. Okay, I guess I don't need to be worried. Anyway, so we head up, and kind of looking at the pattern too, by the way, right now while I'm doing all this. So we head up there. I'm gonna move this aside. I gotta do some measuring while I chat with you. We head up to Sightgraves. It's like a 2-hour drive from where we live. And, we decide, okay, we are going to, I have this whole thing in my head where I'm like, I bring a spool of red ribbon with us, and it has just started snowing just enough. And we don't, get a lot of snow in Arizona, down in the valley anyway. My pen stopped working. I need something. Oh, there we go. So I'm like, let's drive up north and let's take pictures in the snow. And it's around Christmas time, and all this stuff. Well, if you've ever heard the, of course, now that I'm talking about it, the name escapes me. Walking in a Winter Wonderland, that song, Christmas Carol, right? Walking in a Winter Wonderland. So the lyrics of that song are actually about, if you listen to them closely, a couple getting engaged. They talk at one point about, in the meadow we can build a snowman, and we'll pretend that he is Parson Brown, a member of the Church of Parson, and he'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you, the snowman, can do the job while you're here in town, because we just built you, it's snowing. So, and then the song also goes on to say, later on by the fire, or later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we've made while we were walking in a winter wonderland. So if you look at all the lyrics, it's actually about becoming engaged. Nobody realizes that, and I'm a weirdo, and apparently I'm one of the only people who knows that out of everyone we know, because I thought that was common knowledge. So when I thought about us getting engaged at Christmas time, that was the first thing I thought of, and I said, oh, we have to do something with that song. I've always loved that song, and it's about getting engaged. And Corey's, of course, like I said, he's like, okay, whatever you want, no biggie. So we drive up there, and I'm like, we got to find a snowy clearing. And we brought our camera, his camera, and a tripod, and we're going to set it up, and we're going to take pictures, and we have to do it, at golden hour. And I had this idea that in my mind, you know, it was going to be better, whatever. We have a candle, and we are holding the candle, and our faces are like uplit by this pretty candle light in this kind of snowy clearing, whatever. And we'll hang my ring on a piece of red ribbon that sparkles in the candlelight, and it'll be this romantic, Christmassy, really cute, whatever thing. Well, let me tell you how this actually went. We drive our 2 hours north, and it's snowy, and the mountain is practically shut down, and they're stopping everybody to make sure you've got chains and the appropriate tires and a 4-wheel drive. Well, that took for freaking ever. So we're behind, but you can't really drive that fast in the snow, you know, up a cliff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss the time, you know, the sun's going to be set. I'm wigging out, you know. Corey's like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And we have like, I don't even know. I think it was seriously maybe the 19th we did this. In fact, this will tell me the date if I look. But we were really close to Christmas Eve, and we had to get this done. So I'm wigging out about it. And, you know, he's like, it'll be fine. We'll tell him, no big deal. But I want the perfect thing. And so I've got all these weird supplies. My candle, my thing of matches I threw in this bag to light the candle, my red ribbon. I am not dressed. I'm dressed cute. I have like a little beret on. My hair's all done. My makeup's all done. I'm wearing like a cute green sweater. And it's like the thinnest sweater in the world. And I have a little thin scarf on. I'm not dressed for snow. I'm dressed for cute pictures in the snow. My dumbass, you know, I'm like, I don't even know what was I, 22 years old or something. And I live in Arizona in the valley. I don't live in the snow. So I'm not thinking about how my jeans are going to get wet all the way through very quickly and I'm going to freeze. Or how my hair is going to get wet and I'm going to freeze. I mean, we didn't even have real snow clothes, you guys. I was wearing, I think, Ugg boots, like off-brand ones that they were not, it was no good. But I looked really cute in the car. And again, I'm focused on not the right things here, like survival. I am focused on cute engagement photos. So we get up there, and I tell Corey, okay, we find a clearing, we, pull off, we can walk right into this clearing. And I say, and it's snowy, it's fresh snow, it is actively snowing, and it's probably, I'd say 8 inches deep, all over though, like a real solid 8 inches. And I say, okay, we have to build a snowman. We live in the valley, you guys. We don't know how to build a snowman. I've never built a real one in my life where you like roll the balls, and that takes a long time. And I have on the thinnest, like polyester gloves, okay? They're not lined. They're like those cheap $5 gloves you get at like CVS, but they match my scarf and they look really cute. And so I'm like, we got to build a snowman. And he's like, what the hell? What do you mean we got to build a snowman? I'm like, yeah, we need a snowman for it to go with the pictures. So I will quickly pull this up on screen here. We built the snowman from scratch. It took forever. We took pictures the whole time. So I'll just show you guys, we were driving up in the, Site Graves, whatever forest. And I'm just going to like flick through these. Okay. So here's the clearing. I'm like, oh, winter, whatever. This is the snowman that we built. These are actually going through. It's like a flip book. I don't know if you can see me moving there. I built most of him. We brought a scarf up there. Corey kind of helped me. We still have this hat, I think. Yeah, I don't know. The carrot was a wine cork from my serving job. It was an orange wine cork. We literally sat here and built and messed with this snowman. And then I'm just looking through all the photos. We set it up to take photos on this tripod. And that's where we get to the other part of the story. So we spend a whole bunch of time making this snowman. Well, we throw some snowballs, we take some cute little kitschy photos. That was the whole point, right? It was like, oh, take cute photos, be cute, act romantic. But at this point, we have snot running down our faces. We are frozen. My makeup looks terrible. My pants are wet and frozen to my body. So are Corey's. This was so poorly planned. And again, we don't know what we're doing. We don't live up there. But I'm like, in these photos, I mean, I wish that they had audio at that time, how they do now, because I'm like lobbing cute snowballs at him, like, shut up and throw the thing. We're like being mean to each other. And it just cracks me up still when I think about it, because it's like, oh my gosh, this was such a train wreck. And we could have easily ended up with hypothermia or something, like for real. We were frozen solid. So we finally get the snowman done. We take a bunch of really cutesy pictures, and I'm like, okay, we have like 100 photos. That'll be cute for the one side. Now we got to do the other side. So we crawl into a very dense portion of trees and brush. Okay, we need like our faces to be obscured like this with brush. But you have to find an area that dense to obscure your face, and then you got to climb into it. And you're covered in snow and you're cold, and also like that's itchy and it hurts because it's like whole branches. Okay, so we but we find this part and we crawl into it, and I tell Corey, and he's got these thick gloves on, but they're not good gloves, so they're like frozen solid. He can't feel his hands. I can't feel my hands. I have scissors and this spool of red ribbon, and I take the ring off and I give it to him, and I say, okay, here, you hold this. And his hand is out flat, and I put the ring in his palm. And I say, you hold this, and I tie this loop and this perfect little bow, and it's kind of a fake out because I had to do the bow and then leave little things. And I turn around, it's like 4:30 now in winter time out in this clearing, and I turn around and I say, okay, give me the ring. And he kind of looks at me like, what? And I said, give me the ring. I need to tie it on the ribbon. Give me the ring. And he looks at me like, he gives me this look, and I'm like, ha ha ha, yeah, you're so funny, whatever, I'm freaking cold, let's go, give me the ring. And then he starts frantically looking around. He starts patting his pockets of this jacket, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I mean, did you give it to me? And I said, yeah, I did. I gave it to you. I gave you the ring. What do you mean, did I give it to you? And I'm like, haha, you're so funny jokes. Yeah, I'm like starting to panic a little bit because he's not letting up on the joke, and I don't find it very funny. And I've only had this ring in my possession for like 2 weeks, and it's like the nicest thing I've ever owned, and it's like the best thing anybody's ever given me. And obviously it's my new wedding ring, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then I can tell he really starts to panic, and he's actually panicking. So then I start panicking, and mind you, it's been snowing the whole time we built the snowman, like gentle flurries, and it's building up, and it's snowing while we're standing in this little patch of whatever, and we've been tromping all around in this little spot that we're in, and it's like dark, it's getting dark, and I'm thinking, oh my god, what's happening? What do I do? We can't have lost it, but like it's nowhere to be found. And I'm looking down. We don't have flashlights. We don't have anything with us. I have this candle, this freaking Yankee candle, that's tiny, like an idiot, with me. Like I didn't bring a flashlight, but I have a candle. And so I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. We're looking down. We have like smushed the snow. We've packed it down. It's getting dark. We're completely by ourselves. And I am like just about to lose it, and I'm trying to calm down. I'm like, no, it can't be far. We haven't even moved. But like there's so many broken boughs and things below us, you guys, and then this packed snow, and it was awful. And so I tell him, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not leaving this spot ever until we find it. I mean, I don't even have a tent or anything, but I'm like, I don't care. I'll die. I'll just freeze. It'll be fine. We have to figure it out. And he's like, you can't stay out here. It's, it's getting dark. You can't do that. And I'm like, oh, the hell I can't. Like, I'm not leaving. If I leave, we will never find this spot again. And I will never find that ring. So he says, okay, well, maybe there's cabins up the road. His pay measured seam allowances on the side, and I'm trimming my zippers to match said seam allowance. And I'm going to make them all, match, obviously. So anyway, he leaves me there, and he gets, walks back to the car. I'm there by myself. The sun is pretty much set at this point. It's getting real dark. The only reason it's even as bright out as it is because there's snow everywhere, and the snow is reflecting the light. But it's getting pretty dark. And I start bawling. I'm just crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I probably, what am I gonna do? Like, I didn't even get to show it to anybody. Nobody even knows we're engaged. It's a secret. I didn't even get to show my girlfriends. Like, I'm so sad. And I feel so bad for him. I mean, the whole thing is terrible. And so I'm sitting there on my knees, digging into the dirt, hoping like, I'm going to find this ring. I've got my little Yankee candle from the picture sitting there. Well, I, out of nowhere in this little clearing, and Site Graves is a large area, so I'm assuming these people ended up there because, much like us, they just assumed that, they could get in and out easy. I don't know. But I'm sitting there on the ground bawling, and I'm cold and wet, and a dad of about, I'd say 40, with his kids. If I remember correctly, it's been a number of years now, there was a little girl, she was probably about 8, and a teenage son. And I'm pretty certain it was only the 3 of them, but there might have been 2 sons. And I don't remember because it was one of those really emotional times, but they come walking into the clearing and they're there to cut a Christmas tree. So I hear them talking, and I'm like desperate for, I don't know, anybody with a flashlight. I don't know what they're there for at the time, but I'm like, oh my gosh, can you please help me? And I've been crying, so I look like a raccoon. I have black, tons of black, and my face is cold. There's snot seriously frozen in my face. It was not a good look, you guys. And I probably looked like a crazy person because I'm dressed in this ridiculous outfit. And hold on, I want to make sure I get my seam allowance right on this. If I do that, and I do that, yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, anyway, I just want to double check before I do this. This is what makes these pouches come out so well if I do my seams like this, and then I don't end up with dented corners. So anyway, I start explaining, probably way too fast, like, oh my gosh, hi, my husband left me out here, we lost my ring, and we're trying to find it, and, I'm going nuts, and this guy's like, I'm thinking he probably only heard my husband left me out here, and it's like 30 degrees, and it's getting dark, and all I have is a candle, and I'm dressed, not appropriately, but anyway, oh, dang it, I gotta unpick that, it's not long enough. Yeah, just goofy. Anyway, they start, I lead them over to the clearing, and I explain a little bit better what's happening, and they say, we'll help you find it, no worries, we'll help you find it, and I'm thinking, there's no way we're gonna find this. And the son or the father, I don't remember which one, I kid you not, you guys, these strangers in this little area I had been digging in and like trying to figure out, after like 10 minutes, they find this ring. And I am like, oh my God, thank you very much. I know that I cursed a lot, and then I felt really bad about it, because, there's this little girl here, and I didn't really mean to, it just kind of happened, and I'm pretty sure I said, holy shit, oh my God, holy shit. Because honestly, this was a miracle. It really, really was. So they give me the ring. They're like, okay, well, crazy lady, Merry Christmas. We're going to go over here now. They like walk away from me, and, they were so nice, and it was such a miracle that they were there. So, I get on my cell phone, I call Corey, I'm like, oh my God, we found it, these people, they came, they helped me, I'd like tell him, and of course, he like had just gotten to this little neighborhood up the road, trying to find somebody, so of course he's elated, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna come back, I'll be right there. And so, we get off the phone, and I tie this ring up, and I stage it, and I tell him when he gets there, I'm like, no, we're still taking the picture. Like, get over here. We're taking the picture. But seriously, he's laughing because my hair is frozen to my face at this point because I've been out in the snow. My face is frozen with snot and tears. My makeup was so horrendously bad. And he's kind of laughing because he's like, you're not going to take a picture like this. And I'm thinking, no, I'm taking the picture. Like, there has to be proof of this. And we have to have our announcement, for Christmas Eve and for Christmas. So we did end up taking the picture, and we did the best, we could with it. And this is, I don't know which one exactly we ended up doing. And it's so funny because when you go through it, like in like a flip book, like you push forward. I remember this now. I had this antique pair of ice skates that I bought at a vintage market. And I was trying to use them for this photo shoot. This was the end. I don't even know if you guys can see this. Like, we walked off, trying to take, it was this late. So you can see how the sun went down when all this was going on. These were our like test shots. And yeah, it got dark. So that was the end. We didn't end up using those photos. But this is the photo that we ended up using right here. You can see the candle and the ring on the string and me and him. And do you notice, like, this is not a filter. My makeup, my eyes are black. I look like a raccoon. So that's exactly how, and oddly enough, if that hadn't have happened, you probably wouldn't have been able to see my makeup. Look at my cheeks. They are so red because I'm so cold. And you can see this thin little sweater. It's ridiculous, the whole thing. So silly. So that is the second time that he gave me my ring back after I found it, showed it to him. He gave it back to me, and then I, strung it up on this thing. We took the picture, and that is how that went. So now I can laugh about it. But when that happened, it was terrifying, so very upsetting. Yeah. And then after all of that, these people, as quick as they came into that clearing, you guys, they disappeared. I'm sure they got their Christmas tree and wanted to get away from me as fast as possible because they probably thought I was nuts. But yeah, they were so sweet and so nice, and obviously helped me and then went on their way. Well, when I told Corey what happened afterwards, we were so cold and we decided, we had to drive back down to the valley where we lived. And we ended up stopping in, I forget what the city is just south of there. It's not Show Low, that's the other direction. When you go back down to the valley, is it Payson? I think it's Payson. There's a Chili's there. And we were cold and needed dinner, and we decided to stop at Chili's and get our dinner. So we stopped at Chili's and got a booth, and we're eating, I remember he ordered a beer, and that was quite the night, and we just wanted to settle down, and we were freezing, so we wanted, nourishment. And we ended up being sat in the bar, and I went to the restroom at some point during our meal, kind of toward the end. And I saw, the bathroom was on the other side of the restaurant, I went to the bathroom, and who is sitting in the booth right next to the bathroom but this dad and his kids? And they didn't see me. And I, went to the bathroom and went out, and the place was crazy busy. It's Payson, and there's like not a lot up there, especially back then. So, it's really, really busy in there. I'm sure that they, didn't even register me. But I saw them, and I came back. I told Corey, I said, we have to pay for their dinner. We could barely afford to pay for our own dinner, but we have to pay for their dinner. So we did. I explained to my server, I said, I don't know who their server is, but you have to take this credit card, and you have to put their dinner on it, their whole meal. And I remember him saying, oh, well, there's alcohol on the check. Is that okay? Because of the cost. I said, I don't care what's on their check. Just put it on here. You have to take care of it. And they ended up coming back and telling us, oh, it's a couple of kids' meals, and the dad had a couple of beers and all this. And I'm like, I don't care. Pay for the whole thing. Just take care of it, sign it from this point on. And they had already eaten. So it's like if they order another beer, it's on them. But, we paid for it because that was the least that we could do. And then we just left. But I did tell the server what happened. I said, this just happened, and they stopped and helped me, and it was so sweet, and all this other stuff. So, yeah, that is the story of the second time that he gave me that ring. And, yeah. So, anyway, I don't know. Well, a couple little yarns and chats for you guys, but that's what I've been thinking about all day today is engagement rings and wedding rings, and then, of course, what's coming up in my news feed all over the place, but engagement ring things and all kinds of other stuff like that. And I find that very funny. And then, of course, that's been on my mind, and what was the episode of King of Queens that came on, but the time that the main character, Doug, gives his wife, Carrie, her engagement ring. And so it's just one of those things, a glitch in the matrix. All day today it's been about engagement rings. And so I wear my ring pretty much every day, but I haven't been wearing it because some of these medications and things that I've been on with all this stuff make me swell. Also, I've been eating a ton of salt. Not that I really want to, but a lot of these soups I've been eating are very salty. And so it's making me swell a little bit. And then my ring gets a little tight. But I woke up today and I wasn't swollen, and I thought, oh, I want to wear my ring. I miss my husband. Even if he did propose to me with cheese and jam all over my face and hands. Par for the course, pretty much. I'm sure now he knows that. I mean, I think he knew that before anyway, but that just probably sealed it. No matter how glamorous I want to be, I am so not that person. I'm always kind of a little bit of a mess. Sometimes more than a little bit. And that's okay. I don't really know any other way to be, if I'm totally honest. Lay sigh. It's my lot in life. Oops. So I'll go back here and read through the comments here in a few minutes. I know some of you guys were telling me, oh, it's glitching again. I'm sorry. I know. This signal just stinks. I'm trying to work around it any way I can, but it's not been easy. We'll also see how this came out, because I definitely just lined it up for a seam allowance for a number 5 zipper. I forgot that I swapped over. I've been working with 5s. This is a 3. I just haven't been working with them much lately, so we'll see how it works. Sometimes that works fine. Other times you got to redo it if you don't leave yourself enough space. So let's see where. Oh, this drives me nuts. I really need a magnet for my snips. I don't know where I put those. Where are you? I just had them. Drives me nuts. Okay, well, I guess we'll just use the scissors. I don't know where my snips went. Weird. I think I dropped them, but maybe I dropped them. Okay, that seam allowance will be all right. It's a little tight, but as long as I remember going forward, we'll be a-okay. So basically the general idea with this pouch is you just sew the front, you have the lining, and you make yourself a little zipper sandwich, and you just sew it down, and you do that for both sides, and then you butterfly them, okay? And when you butterfly them, you do the linings together and the front and back together, and then you box the bottom of the lining and the outside. And that's it. And they're so simple and they're quick. And if you're not batch sewing, of course, you know, it won't take quite as long. And also if you're not telling stories and looking for pictures and doing all kinds of other things. But that's why it's sewing and chatting. Clearly I've been by myself too long in this bus. Which, you know, I kid about. I actually enjoy my alone time most of the time, you know. I'm alone a lot, which I like my alone time. I'm a bit of an extrovert and I'm also a bit of an introvert. I think I'm pretty much 50-50 on that, to be totally honest with you. If you are better at these than I am, you can do the thing where you like turn it around and twist it, and I used to do that on my zippers where you like twist one end and kind of sew them like this in like a U shape, and then you cut them apart after. But on these pouches, I really like to make sure that my zipper tabs are good, because that really makes the bag makes it at better corners in the end. I really can't stand having those ugly little corners, so I try really hard to make sure they're lined up well. And that's probably the hardest part about these. Are not hard, but that is probably the hardest part about these pouches, is just making sure you have a really good tab. And when I sew whole bunches of them, you know, I don't even use double stick tape. I don't even need it. I just do a whole bunch of zippers in the, you know, different colors and all that I need. And I just kind of plow through them. But it's been a bit since I made one of these. And certainly been a bit since I batch sewed one. You know, a set of them, I should say. So, I typically just go through and do one side. Oh, come on. And let me see here. This, by the way, is not called for in her pattern. Ooh, but I almost screwed that up. Let's see. I need 1, 2 in this. And then I need 2 in the mushroom. I almost made them with the wrong fabric because I have 2 mushroom ones and 2 gardening ones. So. Goodness gracious. What time is it? Almost 9. Well, almost 9 here. So the big thing on this pouch as well is keeping your tabs out of your seam allowance. I cannot stress that enough. So what I do is I go through and I measure a 1/2 inch in on either side, which is a little bit wider than my actual seam allowance, but it adds some extra something. I do it on the wrong side. It just gives me space. Okay. And then once all of them are prepped and done, all of my pieces, I go through, I like to stitch the ends of my zippers together for a few reasons. One, it just helps to avoid the drunken zipper and it makes sure everything is nice and lined up. So I always just loosely tack my zippers together. And then I kind of measure like per panel, right? I already did the one side, so I cut this off a little shorter. I'm just gonna line it up again, making sure. And here's how I do my zipper tabs. I have a piece of uninterfaced whatever. I do this with cotton. This is canvas. I make it about usually the same width or 1/4 of an inch wider or so. I don't get real specific about it, and they aren't even really straight oftentimes. So you have the pretty side of your zipper here. We take the pretty side of our fabric and we lay it like so. Okay, pretty sides together. And then I'm gonna lay it down and I'm just gonna stitch right in here. And I'm gonna go just past the little tack that I made there to keep my zipper closed. And I usually like to do this amount here is what's gonna kind of set what your tab ends up looking like, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't, because I don't think that was really a complete thought, but I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So if you do like an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, you're gonna end up with a super short little tab. If you do a 1/2 inch seam allowance right here, that's how much of a tab you're gonna end up with. And I don't like to do quite a 1/2 inch, it's a little shorter than that. I didn't quite get all the way across where I wanted to. My zipper got a little stuck, so I'll just redo over that. It doesn't matter, nobody's gonna see this particular seam, but you wanna make sure that this seam that you're doing right now is straight. Otherwise your zipper tab will end up crooked. If you need to go over it again, then just go over it again. That's what I'm gonna do. Mine ended up a little weird. No biggie. Okay. I'm just trimming off my tails, and canvas, when it's untreated, tends to fray a lot, so I'm picking off all these little frayed bits. But we won't end up with any raw edges in the end. So, this is ugly, and that's fine. Nobody's gonna see it. My first one didn't go all the way over here to the edge, and it was crooked, and I wanted a straight seam allowance. So now what I'm gonna do is pull this back and see how it's straight. It's perpendicular to my zipper. Okay, if my stitch here, if I'd left it crooked, my zipper tab would look like this. And that doesn't look like much right now, but on the top of the bag, you can totally tell when it's crooked. So pull it taut, and on the back, it'll look like this. And then what we're gonna do is fold this over one more time. Okay, and then we're gonna take our scissors and we're gonna cut about this same amount. So we're gonna cut like right there, okay? I just eyeball gouge these. because you can fold the excess or cut more of it, okay? So I cut it right like that. And then what we're gonna do, open this back up. We're gonna quad fold this and then fold it over one more time. That's how I do zipper tabs, and normally I just do them quick. I don't even like pay attention to it. They're never interfaced. I never do anything, you know, fancy with them. That's it. You just want to make sure that both sides are pretty equal. They're maybe a millimeter off. This one's not pressed yet, but you can see, easy peasy. And once you get good at them, you'll just end up sewing across them like this, and then you cut them apart. I'm going slow because I'm on camera and it's been a while since I've done them, but that's how I always do mine. And the key thing is here on the back, you're looking at the back side. See how the front side is hanging lower? We don't want that. So if you need to, you just unfold just a tiny bit of this and fold it back, because you want the longer of the two. When your bag is done, this won't show really. You want the back one to be a little bit longer. And the reason is, once we take this on the sewing machine, we're gonna, from the front side, we're gonna top stitch. So in the end, it'll end up looking like that. You're only gonna see about that much of it. So that's all you're gonna end up seeing in the end once we get our zipper in the seam allowance. But it's really important that on the back side, it's longer. See how that's just a tiny bit longer? By the time we sew, this is gonna even itself up. And if you start off with the back being shorter, you're almost sure to miss the back when you sew through, and then you're gonna be a sad panda. So I stitch like a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge. I do back stitch just to make sure. You don't have to, but I do. And then just clip close to the edge. Clip off our little thready threads. So this right here is step one to not having dented corners. So, see, and again, you're not going to see either of those little back stitches. But I caught my back. This is on the inside of the pouch, so that's what's going to stop all of this. And from this side, I have a nice clean zipper. So what happens now, see these lines that I made right there and right there, I'm within those. And what I end up doing when I add my zipper, this is actually the wrong direction, but when I add it, I just keep, I eyeballed this as well, and I keep this centered between those two lines. Sometimes I end up right at the line. Sometimes I end up, you know, 1/8 of an inch away from it. It's fine. It's a big zipper. It's a big pouch. It's no big deal. And when they're all lined up on the table, nobody knows. So that is step number 2 to keeping away. You just want to make sure you're centered, like there. I'm a little more centered, centered in between the two lines. That is step number 2 to keeping our little pouch all happy and centered up and stuff. I'm going to clip this one, and then I will show you guys. I'm going to just sew this one instead of batch sewing it, for any of you who are like actually tuning in for the knowledge and not my dumb stories. But I promise you, sometimes there's little nuggets of like actual sewing stuff in here. Any knowledge I have that I can impart, but I do get asked about this one all the time, and I need to shoot a professional tutorial for this, and I will someday. Someday when I'm home for more than like 2 weeks at a time, I'll actually get back into filming in the studio. But people ask me about the dented corner situation all the time. How do you make pouches without dented corners? How do you make your corners look so good? This is how I do it. And I don't care if the pattern doesn't call for zipper tabs, by the way. I always do zipper tabs if it's going to be a turned corner. If it's not, and they don't, you know, have you do this, I've never had it where it doesn't turn out, you know, nicely. It just doesn't. So, oh, well, okay, hold on. This one goes with this one. This one goes with the, okay, I already installed a zipper over here, like so, like we talked about. So I'm gonna use that. You don't need to watch me install another zipper. I'm just gonna finish this sandwich on the other side, and then we'll go into the pouch, and I will show you, you know, the whole situation with the dented corners or lack thereof. And then of course they they don't turn out perfect every single time. Occasionally, like this one, my seam allowance wasn't great, and so the corner of my tab is indented, but the bag itself is. And I actually know what I did wrong on that. I folded my material the wrong way. And I'll explain that when we get into this too. But if you've ever been to one of my booths in my shows, you've probably seen my zipper pouches because I always have some of them. And then you've probably asked me, how do you get your corners so nice? How come you don't have dented corners? Do you do a tutorial for that? Everybody asks me. And I always have to say, I haven't done it yet, sorry. And then, you know, yeah. So, I know you guys have been asking, and I'm sorry. I'm slow sewing turtle. I'm also slow video shooting turtle. Oh. Mofo. I ran out of bobbin thread. Okay, well. Top stitching, and I ran out right at the beginning. Let's wind a bobbin. Oi. I still don't know where my snips are. I have no idea where I put those. There's only like 3 feet of space in here. My snips are just gone. Weird. Super weird. I think I just saw somebody ask what machine I ended up getting, what machine this is. This is the El Nita by Elna. It is the EF1, and I love it. I'm so very happy with it. I really, really like it. Okay. Oh, there's my snips. They're blending in with my rainbow seam roller, and so they literally look like the exact same thing. I kept looking over there going, I know it's over there. I thought I saw it. So if you guys want to hear more ring stories, I do have another one. Not really funny. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny now, but it's really more terrifying. My husband gave me my ring at Disney World, and then I lost it at Disney World. So I can tell you that story after we get a little more of the sewing stuff in. And as I was crying in the car on the way home, sobbing about how I would never see my wedding ring again, and also trying to reassure myself it's just a thing. Things can be replaced. At this time it was insured, so my husband was like, you can get a new one. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same one you gave me, and it's not the same one that I wore after our, wedding ceremony, and it's not the same one that we lost in the forest. And it was more about the sentimentality than the actual value. And I was trying to tell myself all these things. It can be replaced, whatever, but I was so upset. And spoiler alert, I'm wearing the same ring, so you know that I got it back. But I can tell you that one in a little bit too, if anyone is actually interested. Ooh. Well, that turned into a horrible little rat's nest. Let's try that again. Pierced my thread and then pulled it through, and it turned into a little mess. Okay. Probably should go back and read some of these comments. Y'all have been chatting so much tonight. So we were talking about weird things that happen. And Elizabeth said she also has that weird thing that happens where she thinks about someone and then she runs into them. I don't typically have it with people, almost never, but songs, movies, objects, food even. Yeah, definitely. Closest to Phoenix. Land was first, been to World, but yep, Disneyland is your favorite. So that's so funny. I was just at Disneyland and I really loved it, but Disney World really is like a world. You are in like a bubble, and you never, if you stay on property especially, you never leave the bubble, and I think that's my favorite thing about it. I just love like going there and escaping what feels like the real world. I don't have to deal with like traffic lights, the mundane little things. Even when I was at Disneyland, this is going to sound so trivial, but I had to walk across the street. I had to wait for the light to change. And like, I had to, just like those kinds of things. You got to like go out in the real world between, like you glimpse the real world. I know that sounds so crazy, but it's like, I really love not seeing the real world when I'm at Disneyland. Bucky bag video. Oh, I don't even know what that's about. Anyway, a couple people saying hi to each other. I love that you guys like know each other and then come on here and are like, hi, oh my gosh, hey, it's you. Oh, it's you too. Because I feel that same way when I see you guys. I'm like, oh, look, it's you. Oh, look, it's you. But I think that's really cute. Looks like I was going in and out for a while. Elizabeth says, royal blue is a great color for you. That is so funny. Do you know that is Corey's like favorite color? And I never wear blue. I don't like it. Oddly enough, I have blue nail polish on right now. Blue and teal, because I had a dress for Easter that was these colors. And he does like that dress, but he loves blue and I never wear it. So, yeah, both very memorable stories. And, you know, like I said, I can laugh about them now. Even after they happened, I was kind of okay with it. But, yeah, you know, it just, emotions at the time, you know, and at the time when you're in your 20s and this is a new thing and it's like such a big deal. I mean, I can tell you honestly, if I lost my ring again today, I would probably bawl. I would. You know, just it's the sentimentality. It's like, oh, but this ring, it's been everywhere with me. It was there when, you know, this thing happened and that thing happened and whatever. It's really more about that, you know, for me anyway. And so, you know, I don't know. It's a big step in your life, you know, and then all these new emotions and new things are going on. Oh, I need to change my needle. My thread is shredding. I guarantee you that's the problem. Dang it. We're just not going to get anything going tonight. Oh yeah, look at that little mess. I gotta change my needle. Boo. Do you know, since I bought this thing months ago, you guys, this is the first time I've changed the needle. I don't even know if I know how to do it. I'm pretty sure I do. And I hope I have the right needles, because I have these. I ordered them. And, I hope they're right. I haven't had to change it yet, and I never really changed mine. I'm so bad about changing them. I don't change them until I have an issue. And boy, am I having an issue. And then my thread on the machine itself is like all shredded and gnarly, so yeah, it's time. Well, all right, well, I changed the needle, and that's super boring. I guess I can tell you guys about the other time when I lost my wedding ring at Disney World. So this was, gosh, was this pre-pandemic? I'm pretty sure it was pre-pandemic. So we pretty much, in fact, I know it was pre-pandemic. That was kind of like the worst trip in the world a little bit, for a few reasons. So for one, I don't know if you guys know what golfer's rash is, or it's referred to as cellulitis. In some medical circles, there's also one more name for it, but it's commonly known as golfer's rash. Basically what it is, it's typically on your legs, but it can happen anywhere on your body, but it's mostly on the legs. I'm gonna find my screwdriver here. And you retain water really badly. And when you retain the water, UV makes it worse, so sunlight makes it worse, and your skin, you look like you have a terrible rash. It kind of looks like mini camouflage. It gets really bumpy, almost like hives, but it's not hives, and it's very painful. The skin where you swell gets very, very tight, and the only way to make it go away is by elevating and cold water and or icing. Actually, looks like I have a pack of needles that came with it, so I think I'll use that because these are different and I think maybe they're wrong. Anyway, and yeah, so I have never had cellulitis before, but it is commonly also referred to as the Disney rash. It is not a rash at all. In fact, there's no actual like medical, you know, rash kind of thing. It's your body doing it. Okay, so it's your body's reaction to typically too much sun, too much heat, and standing up for too long. And of course you do all of those things when you're at Disney. So, but we have done this for years, right? Oh yeah, that needle's like the dullest. So dull. Okay, we'll trash it. Anyway, so we have been going to Disney for years, you know, not a big deal at all. I've never had cellulitis, but we always go in December. It is typically colder. Oh. Why are all these needles different colors? Crap. What does that mean? I have an orange one, a green one, 2 purple ones, and a brown one. Crap. Well, now I gotta Google what these are, because I just need like a regular, this doesn't say, it says organ needles. Very helpful. And there are 5 of them in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5, but they're all different colors. Well, what the heck does that mean? Okay. Organ needle colors. Okay, well, while I figured that out, okay, but I don't think, what do the colors on organ needles mean? Hooray. Green size is for extra fine fabrics, orange is an 80 for light, blue 90 is for medium, and violet is for heavy, so I probably need a blue. Well, none of these are blue. Literally not a 1. Okay, so I suppose violet or orange. If an orange, it says that's for light. Well, what the frick? How come I got 2 violets and no blue ones? Also, there's no brown. Ugh, whatever. We'll go with violet. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. I swear. This is what I'm saying, you guys. Like, hot mess. Just nonsense. Always. Anyway, this particular Disney trip, the one time we've done it, I'll never do it again. I just won't. You couldn't pay me enough money. We went in June. Okay? Like, so hot in Florida in June. I don't know how you guys live there. Those of you who do, I'm so very happy for you. But like, holy cow. Oh, do you know what? Are these the right needles too? Oh, crap. I gotta pull up the friggin' manual now because I don't know. The good thing is I already have it in here. Needle. Keep your fingers away from the needle. That's not helpful. Up, down, needle position, threading the needle, built-in needle, changing the needle. Page 26. Okay. I haven't done this enough, so I don't remember which way the needle goes. 21. I'm thinking it's the same as my industrial, but honestly, I don't know. Okay. Turn the power switch off and unplug it before changing the needle. We all know we do that every time, right? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay, number 3, the flat side. Flat side goes to this side, which is definitely not how I was going to do it, so I'm glad I looked. I'm never like that person who's like, oh my god, read your manual, but also like, read your manual, because I reference my manual all the time. Like, all the time. I have it downloaded as a PDF. You can always get the PDF for your manual and just stash it on your computer. Which is where I read most of my patterns, and like, for real though, I reference my manual for all my stuff all the time. It's so much faster than asking on the internet, and like, people will tell you wrong, you know, no offense, I'm sure I do it too, but people will give you misinformation and then you're like really screwed up. And if you just looked in the manual, like, it takes 8 seconds and it's so much nicer. So anyway, okay, so hopefully I did this right. What other nonsense can we get into? Shall we see? Oy, okay. All right, ready, go. Sew the thing. Do the stuff. Oh, now why? You guys, I swear to God, it's because I was saying how much I liked the machine too. Don't ask me that question anymore. This thread is now shredding like crazy. Maybe what we'll do, I'm just gonna pull a couple yards off. I think maybe we're in maybe a bad area on the spool or something. I don't know. You've got a fresh needle, you little jerk. What's wrong with you? The bobbin thread, maybe we'll just try rethreading the bobbin too for funsies. I'm gonna take a little off there too, because I can't tell what's going on. Boo indeed. Listen here, machine. You better start behaving. Like we're on video. Could you not? Okay. The thread is flowing freely from the bobbin, and it's wound correctly. What's wrong with you? Dumb. Okay. It's gonna work this time. I can feel it. I mean, I'm literally only going through cotton canvas and some waterproof canvas at this point, and it is just like so unhappy. And I don't know what its damage is. And that just doesn't really even make any sense because I've been sewing all kinds of heavy duty stuff on here. That's why I kept the machine. That's why I liked it. Now it's just being a little turd. Okay, well, anyway. All right. Maybe I gotta like pick out all this crap I made before too, because I'm sure that's not really helping. This is like the most basic of materials too. There's really no reason that it should be doing this. Oy. One of the biggest things in sewing is like the machine acting up. It's the great equalizer for all of us, right? It doesn't matter how expensive or cheap a machine, how long you've been sewing, how good you are, how talented you are, how new you are, whatever. This really is one of the great equalizers. It's something that we will all deal with at one point, and for no explanation. Like, you think, oh no, I fixed all of it. Like, I put in a fresh needle, I rethreaded it, I did all these things. But like, no. Let me double, triple check all of my stuff here. This foot is up. It's in the tension disc here on the check spring. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, it's just being stupid. Cool. My favorite. All right, you little effer. Behave. If this one just doesn't want to go, maybe I'll just swap. Maybe what we'll do is try sewing backwards first. It is still shredding this thread, you guys. What the heck? Why? Like, it's shredding it on the needle. I don't know if you're close enough to be able to really see that, but that is so beyond frustrating. Why are you doing this? All right, let me grab some scrap real quick, and we're gonna just screw around and see if it's my layers. Oi. Something in these layers might be causing the thread to shred, or it's something else, and I just don't even know. Okay. One layer is fine. I mean, I've made like so many of these pouches too. That's what's so stupid about this. So I guess, I don't know. Two is fine. We'll just jump right into 4, shall we? I cannot understand why it doesn't want to go through cotton canvas and a couple layers of waterproof canvas. That is just silly. I mean, that's 4 layers of waterproof canvas right there, and it's totally fine. So why is it shredding every time I try to do this pouch? That is just bizarre. Bizarre. going to try to increase the foot pressure and do a couple of other things and see if I can't get it to work. I mean, I don't understand why it would be upset this time. Oh, and now it's fine. Oh, okay, cool. Well, how stupid. Okay, whatever. Thanks for doing your job, machine. Appreciate it. Oh, well, see, now I was too sarcastic with it. And then it started shredding. Oh. Well, that's what I get for having an attitude. Well, this is just silly. That's going to end up chewing through this pouch, and it's going to end up in my, like, personal pile before I ever even get through it if I keep sewing through it at this rate. This is just dumb. This is the heaviest needle that I have, so, and this is not even a heavy project. Dumb. All right, machine, let's just be friends. I won't be sarcastic anymore, and I won't, you know, get rid of you if you start behaving. But honestly, at this point, you're gonna ruin my friggin' project. Which it definitely just ripped through the waterproof canvas, so cool. Yeah, this one is going to end up in the junk pile, but at this point I really just want this thing to go. So I'm just going to keep screwing around with it until I can figure out. I have never had any of this thread shred like this either, so I really don't think it's the thread. It's like catching on something. This is just downright bizarre. It could possibly be, I think I was missing this needle guide, but now I have to recut this one pouch because I ripped through the waterproof canvas just now, taking the seam out for the 14 billionth time. Oy. So now we're just gonna keep sewing it anyway. Come on, you little turd. I don't care what it looks like because I'm gonna end up redoing it. I just wanted it to get through the damn project. I don't know what its conniption is about this side of the project, y'all. This is so bizarre. Look at this one side is where it chewed and just made a whole problem every single time, no matter how many times I took it out. And then as I go on, look, it's fine. How ridiculous. There must just be something on this side. I don't know, because the other side's perfectly fine. And now it's not shredding and it's totally good. So I do not understand that. I hope it doesn't continue to do that all night. I'm also really frustrated. I'll cut this zipper out because I don't want to redo the tabs and all that stuff. But like, yeah, how stupid is that? Because it ripped through. See how many times it went through the waterproof canvas? It just ripped. It perforated it. So how obnoxious. This is like exactly what happened the other night. Things were going good, things were going fine, and then shenanigans. And yeah, we just ended up with nonsense. So yeah, like, I don't know. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. I figured if it was going to be weird, it'd be weird, you know, the whole way down, but like, no, it's totally fine once it got over its little issue in that one area. Okay, well, I promise you this, y'all. I really do like the machine normally when it's not being awful, and normally it performs very admirably on anything I have given it, like literally anything. It's always been awesome. So I don't know, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't really watch live videos of anybody's because they're not for me. Well, that's not true. I do, and I did. I don't as much anymore, but like learning videos, right? Tutorials. I turn them on for like fun, but if I'm learning, if I'm trying to learn something, I can't watch those. My brain just is not, I can't compute. I need structure to learn. So, and that's just me personally. That's no like dig on anybody or anything. I just can't do it. And so that being said, I only really do live videos because I always get comments from you all and other viewers that are like, oh my god, you should do more live videos. I love them. They're so fun. I don't mind doing them, but like it's just this. I feel like it's just me being a mess. I'm picking this out, by the way, because I want to try to save some of this. But yeah, there's no way I'm gonna... Ugh, I'll deal with that later. I don't feel like dealing with that right now. I'm just gonna move on to another one. Let's see if we can mess another one up. Yay! Alright, well, here's another one that I started. Same fabric. Same waterproof canvas liner. Let's see if we can mess that one up, shall we? Anyway, yeah, but I feel like this is what always happens. So y'all tell me, is this like just me, or does everybody else have this happen when they go live too? Because I swear, like a while back, I don't remember what it was, but I was doing the heart bag, the heartbreaker bag from K Asconda Designs, and it turned into shenanigans, and I was just like, really? This is, you know, embarrassing and ridiculous and stupid. And then, you know, I ended up saving it and it was fine in the end. But like the Aria bag from the other night, I couldn't save that one. I have to redo it when I get home. And, anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is why I don't do live videos. Not because, you know, I'm totally open about me making mistakes and the fact that I'm a hot mess. I just don't really think anybody wants to watch that. So I'm always like, no, I'm not going to do a live video. And then people are like, yeah, do more live videos. So, you know, here I am, killing it. Okay, well, if we can ever get to this point where I can show you the damn dented corners. Then I guess we'll get to that point where I can show you the damn dented corners. And you know, one thing I was just remembering, I'm trying to remember, I think I experimented with this at one point where I actually stopped sewing into this seam allowance. I might have to try that too, because it's been a really long time. At one point I had made like 35 of these in one batch and I perfected it. I got it so good that I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect, it's so perfect, it's the best corners ever, everything's perfect. And then, you know. Okay, so here's where the last one messed up. And yeah, now I can't remember if I stopped sewing shy of that seam allowance or not. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Let's try it. Should we try it? This is probably gonna get screwed up anyway. Let's try it. Why not? I am gonna unpick this right here and then I'm just gonna backstitch. I'm gonna do it on both sides. Let's see what happens. It's an experiment. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why I started doing this the way I started doing it with the measurements. For one, it is the zipper. That is like a for realsies thing. But I'm kind of thinking that I did this for a reason. So let's see what happens, shall we? So let's pretend like I didn't just sew all the way to the edge. And let me see if I can remember the magic corner formula. And who knows, maybe this will help me with my weirdo little issue. This is the step where my machine decided to eat shit and die on the last one. Let's lengthen the seam allowance when we go to top stitch this too. That way I hopefully don't have to deal with any more shenanigans. seam allowance on that side. Doy. Okay, just kidding. My thread is like wrapped around the foot. Oh, you don't want that. Okay. Okie doke. Well, good grief. Okay, wish me luck. I'm gonna do the top stitching now that it did not like so much last time. But this is weird because like I was just making one of these pouches in here. I mean, not that long ago. Silliness. Lace eye. All right. Well, that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it? So, of course, it's fine now, but I'm gonna have to take this out because I just sewed over the part that I said I wasn't gonna sew to. I think what I want to do is stop sewing. Basically, what I'm trying to figure out is when I butterfly this, if it's not sewn together. I'm gonna do like a little experiment here for a minute. If I put two of these together and I sew it like that and then I turn it out, I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't think it's gonna matter if I sew all the way to the corner, but I guess for an even better experiment, let's sew one side all the way. I really wish I could remember this now. Something is coming back to me about these weird little seam allowance things on the side that I measured out, and I did that for a reason, and it's not just a zipper, and I cannot remember what it was that I did. Pretty sure I top stitched all the way to the edge, but when I perfected my whole corner situation, I think it's more than just the tabs, but maybe it was just the tabs. Okay, because I don't want to deal with this again, I'm just gonna hand crank it. I don't feel like dealing with any more nonsense. So I'm just gonna hand crank past the point that I didn't like. I've got a longer stitch length. I turned the tension up. I hope it's good. Behave, little machine. Okay, well, we're doing all right. I think maybe it just didn't like that other bag, and I don't know why. It was really weird. Just was not willing to work on it. I don't know what the dealio was. Okay, well, good golly. That was far too much effort, y'all, for all of that. Grief. Yeah, and like now, it's totally fine. There's like no tension problems. It's not wigging out. What a big, dumb, long detour. Okay, well, criminally. And like, y'all know, if we weren't on live, right? Like none of that would have happened. At some point through all this though, this whole corner situation, it's gonna come back to me. I know it will. I just have to remember what it is that I did. There were very specific things that I was like, oh yeah. That. as soon as I finish this bag, I'm sure I'll do it wrong, and then I'll tell you what not to do, so at least you'll remember. And then I'll remember for next time. Like I said the other night on live, I've mentioned this a couple times. I usually have little notes I make for myself, and I put them on my machine in front of the wall, because like if I don't do something for a while, even when I've perfected it, I don't know if y'all are the same, but I forget. I will literally forget the thing that I've done like 100 times if I haven't done it super recently. That's just how my brain operates, and it's very disappointing. I don't feel like it ever leads to like mastery of a skill for me, because I will master it and then do it over and over and over and over, and then I won't do that particular bag pattern for like 6 or 8 months. I move on to something else, and then it's like everything I learned and taught myself is out the window. And I kid you guys not, when I remember like techniques on stuff the way that I like them, and then I teach it to you in a tutorial, I will literally go back and look at the tutorial. I will scrub through it and be like, how did I do that again? Oh yeah, that's how I did it. My brain is just weird. I'm not really sure if that's like a memory loss issue or if it's just something about the way that I learn, but it is totally a thing. Which seems really silly, right? I mean, it does to me, but it is what it is. See, it makes no sense to me, the whole stopping and starting thing here. And I've always top stitched these, so why did I do this? I don't know. I feel like at some point it's going to come back to me. Gosh, I hope so. And when I figure it out, I'll be sure to let you all know. Okay, well, we're finally in like the home-ish stretch. Took way too long to get that done. Because seriously, if you don't have to do a whole bunch of nonsense, changing needles, winding bobbins, trying to get your machine to love you again. Yeah, these really are a very, very quick pouch. Okay, well, it made it through that side too, like totally fine. I really think it just didn't like that other pouch. I don't know. Weird. Oh, I'm sorry. I stopped in the middle of a story because the thing wigged out. I apologize. Let me go back and read quickly here. Monica said, this is like when I sit down to sew, except it's one of my kids bugging me for something, start and stop. Yeah, I don't know. You didn't tell us how you lost the ring, totally more important than sewing. Elizabeth is just here for the tea. She is not here for the sewing. That's what we should start calling it, sewing and tea, because I feel like that's probably more what it is. But Elizabeth is clearly just here for the tea, which is totally fine, by the way. If you like don't care about the sewing, then that's probably good, because like obviously it's just going to be sewing shenanigans. Okay. Hello, Valmir. I don't know what poso means. I'm not even sure what language that is, but hello anyway. Let's see. Elizabeth is begging for this ring story. Okay, Anita said that it could be the needle. Yeah, mine does have a flat side, so at least according to the manual, I did it right. And now it's behaving, so good machine. Just, it's fine. Just stay good. Okay, really quickly, what I'm going to be doing with this, and then I will get to your story, I promise, Elizabeth. I want to double check on this because I made a note for myself on this pattern too, probably telling me exactly what I used to do. P.S. PDF patterns, you can make your own notes on them. I do that a lot. So if you can make, hold on, I'm going to cut this real quick. I'm going to trim off. I have a little wonky edge here. Okay, half, and this is a little bit longer than it needs to be. And I don't want it to be like that, so I'ma cut it. Would help if I put it on the mat though, huh? Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Okay. Trimming out this extra, and then P.S. if you ever do this on one of yours and you trim it off, totally cool. You just have to rebox your bottom corners. So you just have to make sure. I had to trim off a discrepancy. I didn't get my zipper centered. Totally fine. Ooh, not a big deal. Really forgiving pattern, but now my corners aren't even. So I have one of my old corners, and I'm literally just gonna lay it on here and I'm gonna recut it. Nobody will know the difference. It'll be like a 1/4 of an inch smaller in the end. The whole bag. And these zip pouches, nobody cares. They're just so handy to like keep in the car, keep in your purse, do whatever with. They sell like crazy, and they're one of those things they just never go out of style. So, always have some for my inventory. Okay, I promise I'll tell you the ring story, Elizabeth. She's probably like, I want to go to bed, but I gotta know. I mean, like I said, spoiler alert, I mean, I have the ring. It's on my finger, so like no worries. But when I tell you guys, I was in the car. We left Walt Disney World without me knowing where my ring was after a trip. And it was like the last day that this happened. I was like telling myself all these things in the car, like, well, somebody else needed it more than I did, and hopefully somebody finds it and they loved it just as much as I do. And hopefully, I was like telling myself all these romantic stories, like maybe it's a young couple and they couldn't afford a nice ring and so they ended up with it and someone will love it, and like all these things, because that was the only way I was going to be able to get through this. I was crying so much. Okay, so here's what happened. Well, I'll tell you what I thought happened, and then I'll tell you what really happened. So, let me get this all clipped while I tell you. It's June. It's it's hot. It's hotter than hot outside, and I talked earlier about swelling. Well, when you're walking around Disney World all day, your arms are down at your sides, and I don't typically swell, and I don't typically get this Disney rash that we were talking about, the cellulitis or the golfer's rash. And it's not really a rash, it's your body's reaction to like heat and all these other things, okay? So, fine and great, but I didn't know that, and I woke up one morning, like 2 days into this trip, and my legs are swollen. They are so swollen from the knee down, and they are red, and oh my God, do they itch, and I am dying. And like we skipped parks, which we never do unless, something is like a huge deal. But we skipped the parks. We did a pool day. We are not really pool people, especially, hotel pools. So we went to the pool because I had read online. I tried to figure out what this thing was, and I finally figured out what it was. And they said cold water will help, and it did. And then we got ice from the ice machines, and I laid on the bed and we put all the pillows under my legs, and we patted all these big ice things all over my legs. It hurts, y'all. Cellulitis, or like the Disney rash, is no joke. But it's not bed bugs. It's not all the other things people say it is. It's just a reaction to UV, humidity, and blood collecting, like pooling in your body. And so here's the thing. Previously, we had always been to Disney in December. So I had never had this problem. And then, because it had never been hot and or humid at the time we go. And then I always wore pants because it was typically cold every time we happened to go to Disney. This time it was June, so I was wearing shorts. Well, UV light makes this reaction way, way worse. And of course I didn't know that. So that was like thing two that was just horrible. And then where is my, here it is. Yeah. Sorry, I'm referencing my pattern really quick. I want to double, triple check I'm using all my right allowances and junk. Oh, and I'm going to open my zipper before I forget, because that's some other nonsense that I would do and often do. So, zipper is open all the time on that. Okay. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Give me one quick second. Oh, this is not what I want. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to Google something real quick because I haven't done that, and then I'm like, well, I'm not going to remember. So we want toward the outside. So this is what I want. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Anyway, all right, so we go. It's June. It's hot. I'm doing all the wrong things to end up with this horrible rash, and I'm sad. So we are staying in the hotel. We get this rash to go down quite a bit, and the next day we decide, okay, you know, we can go out. So we go out, and everything is good, and we're in Epcot. Now, on every other trip, because he gave me, you know, my ring in Disney World, and it was always sentimental to me, and I pretty much wear it all the time, probably when I shouldn't. I'd always worn it on every trip. Okay, fine, no biggie. But this particular trip, I was swelling all over, and even after we got the swelling down in my legs, my hand swelled, and we were waiting in a line at Epcot, and I took my ring off. We were over in France by the little stand where you get like the slushy drinks right when you enter France. And I'm like, okay, I'll just take it off. I'll put it in my bag. My bag is secure. I have lots of interior pockets. That's no big thing. But my hand is hurting. It is swelling. I'm afraid if it keeps swelling, you know, I won't be able to get the ring off at all. And it was a bit of a challenge to get it off in the first place at that time. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's scary. I don't want to have to, you know, have some kind of an emergency. So I take it off. I put it in my bag. I make sure it's zipped inside of a pocket, zipped inside of a pocket, inside of the bag, right? I'm like very meticulous about this. And I know there's no holes in the lining. I'm thinking about all these things. Well, fine and great. We move on with our day. I'm gonna have to retrim this box. I got off here somehow. Anywho, yeah, we move on with our day and we go ride some rides and have drinks and do all these things. Well, we have like 3 or 4 days left in this vacation. Here's what actually happened. I'm going to spoil the story from the beginning. 'Cause like I said, I'm wearing the ring, so whatever. When we went back to the hotel that night, much later, I knew the ring was in my bag, and I did not want to bring it back to the park in the bag because, you know, all number of things could happen. I wanted it left in the room. So I left it in the room. And so, you know, I took it out, I put it in. I had a duffel bag that I actually bought from a fellow sewist, and the duffel bag had a small, not really hidden, but like kind of hidden welt pocket inside the bag. And it was really small on this big duffel. It was only like 5 inches wide, not real big. And the color of the zipper was the exact same color as the lining of the bag. It's like a light purple color, okay? I unzipped it, I carefully put my ring in there, and I closed it up, and that duffel bag had all of my clothes and stuff in it, and it went back in the closet. So it was hidden, I knew where it was. We went on our trip for another 5 or 6 days. We get in the car to go home 5 or 6 days later, and you know, prior to leaving the hotel, by the way, I seem to recall, this was a number of years ago now, so forgive me on that detail, but I seem to recall before we left, oh, in fact, I know it was because I filed a report. Before we left, I realized my ring was gone. I was like, oh my God, where's my ring? I can't find my ring. Corey, I can't find my ring. And he's, you know, we're looking everywhere. We scour this entire room. We're like looking everywhere, and we can't find it. And eventually we have to hit the road and leave. We were already like 4 hours late by the time we were looking for this ring. I went down to the front desk. I filed a missing report. We gave them pictures. They gave me an email to send stuff to. We even went back to Epcot, and I filed a report there with the guest services at the back gate. And I told them everything because I forgot that I had put it in the duffel bag. Okay. So I'm thinking, oh, I remember taking it off in Epcot. It must have fallen out of the bag. It must be somewhere in Epcot. Everyone is reassuring me, you know, oh, we find stuff all the time. We find stuff so often you don't even know. We'll find your ring. It's okay. And I'm like, they have to find it. They just have to. If they don't find it, you know, I'll die. Like, I'm so upset, and I'm trying not to be, you know, overly dramatic, but like in my head, of course, I'm being totally over dramatic, and I'm really upset about this, and I'm trying not to cry, and I'm just, you know, so we finally have to get in the car. We have to drive home. We've got to get back home for work and stuff, you know, and Corey's like, we'll find it, and it's insured, and it's okay. You'll be all right, you know, and I'm inconsolable. I'm just sobbing, you know, quietly in the passenger seat on the way home. I made him pull over, I don't know how many times, and we researched all the bags. I'm like, I'll just magically find it. I'll find it. It's got to be in there. So we keep pulling over at every, you know, gas station or whatever, every like 100 miles. And, you know, I've been crying for hours at this point. I'm so upset. And I made like a little thing that I put out on Facebook, and I was like, hopefully someone will find it and see it, and they'll share it, you know, all this stuff, right? So I made this little thing with pictures of my ring from, honestly, the only up-close pictures I'd ever taken of it were at Disney World when he gave it to me. So I'm like reliving our engagement as I'm making this little like collage, pleading with the public to like please share it, and we have to find this ring, and I'm so upset, and I'm like offering a reward on this little like poster thing I'm making, like, you know, please, you know, let me find it. I put the dates on there that I knew it was like lost in Epcot, you know, I do all this. I share it in like a couple of Disney groups I'm in. They share it with people. Everybody's sharing it. It's like blowing up, but nobody's finding the ring, and you know, I'm just getting more upset. Well, it catches the attention. Well, we get home. Okay, it takes us 2 full days to get home, and I'm still inconsolable, and I've searched these bags so many times, and I can't find it, and I just know I don't have it. I know it's just sitting there in Epcot, you know, in some like storm drain or something. Or I'm telling myself, no, a nice young person found it, and, you know, it's their lucky day kind of a thing, and, you know, maybe they're gonna love it, and they're gonna propose to somebody with it, and it's, you know, I'm telling myself all this stuff. And I'm hoping, obviously, that's, you know, what's gonna happen, all these things. Of course, that's ridiculous. I mean, maybe not, I don't know, but it you know, it's very far-fetched. So that's how I'm getting through the night, but I'm like crying myself to sleep. Well, we get all the way back to Texas, we get home, still no ring. I've shared this thing everywhere. It's getting shared in all these groups. Well, somebody in one of the groups goes, oh my gosh, look who shared this. And they're like, it's Walt Disney World. So Walt Disney World has now shared this on their page. Well, I don't even, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, they know, and they're asking me they're responding to my thing saying, did you file a report? And I'm like, yes, I have reports. Here's my report numbers, all this stuff. So I'm like in communication with Disney about this via Facebook, and all these other people are, talking to me about it, whatever. And, just all this, it's like blowing up, and I'm so excited because I'm thinking somebody's going to find it, they're going to turn it in, it's going to be great. And people are telling me in the Disney group, by the way, their stories about how 5 years after they lost a ring or whatever at Disney, it was returned to them. And so I'm like, I'm very hopeful, but I'm super sad. And then all of a sudden, I'm finally going through all my bags, I'm doing my laundry from the trip, and I find that stupid little pocket inside this bag. And I don't even remember putting it in there. I have no idea. I open it to get, all the laundry and stuff out and make sure there's nothing in there. And what do I find but my freaking ring? I have never cried so hard in my life, or, I have, but not at that point. And oh my gosh, you guys, I was so absolutely overjoyed, but I felt so stupid. And then of course, I was like, oh, I have to go and tell like Disney World to take this post down and tell everybody to take this post down. I felt so dumb, but I didn't care because it was like the ring is back. And so I literally hid it from myself, and I just don't remember doing it. I still don't really remember doing it, but I know I must have put it in there. Corey didn't know this bag. I wouldn't have given it to him to do anyway. I definitely just hid it from myself, and I remember I was, I knew the sewist who made this duffel bag. It's the Dallas duffel bag from Swoon, and it's made in backstitch paper world. I still have the bag. I still secretly hate it a little bit when I look at it because I'm like, oh, you did that to me. Like, it's so emotional. And so I kind of blame the bag, even though it's my fault, But yeah, if I hadn't even looked in that pocket, it would still be missing and just be in there. We would have filed an insurance claim, and then I would have had to go to them and be like, I'm sorry, I committed insurance fraud. Yeah, but I found it. And so that's the story of, that was like the worst Disney trip ever because I had that horrible, horrible rash. I was in so much pain for days, and then I lost my ring, but I didn't really lose the ring. And then I cried the whole, way home, and miserable 2-day drive from Florida to Texas. So I can laugh about it now, but at the time that was like horrible. And yeah, so this ring has a history a little bit of going on its own adventures and all kinds of things like that. So now, as you can imagine, I watch it super duper extra carefully. I'm always cautious of it like going down a drain or who knows what, all those like tropes you see, on movies and shows. Like, I just know at some point this thing is going to get like eaten by a wild animal or something, and I'm going to have to wait for them to pass it. You know what I mean? Like, this ring has seen some shit. And I can't wait for the next thing, as long as it comes back to me, I guess, every time. But good grief, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep over this thing. I'm also not a real big jewelry person. I have a lot of like little kind of costumey things. Like, you'll see me in videos, I wear like rings a lot of times, and to be completely honest with you, that's just for interest. I just think it makes the videos a little nicer to like have something nice to look at. So I always try to do my nails, in a way that I like, but in a fun way. And then I try to wear interesting stuff. So I pick up like little rings when I'm at craft fairs. Most of them are either handmade by other artisans, like little cheap kind of copper rings and stuff. Or, brass or whatever, or I have some from Disney. And that's all they are. And I do wear them in my daily life, but not a lot. It's mostly for videos. My wedding ring is the only thing I don't like stuff on me. I have a really hard time wearing a watch because it feels like a handcuff to me. I don't like feeling encumbered by stuff. So yeah, I don't really like shoes for that reason either. I'll wear them, but like at home, I'm barefoot. I'm barefoot right now. I cannot. Corey wakes up every day and it's like, if he goes anywhere in the house for 20 minutes, he puts on shoes, and I cannot deal with that. I walk around barefoot outside all the time. I don't like having stuff on me. So, same thing with jewelry, but I've never felt that way about my wedding ring. I wear it all the time. And so I just find it funny, like the one time I actually wear a piece of jewelry, this thing can't wait to get off my body and escape somewhere, hiding all the time. So yeah, that's another ring story that's been on my mind today, and another funny one to look back on. It's funny now, but terrifying when it happened, and super sad. You know, at the time that it happened. And I know it's just possession, it's something that can be replaced. Obviously, my husband is much more important to me and all those things, but it really is just the sentimentality. I'm a very sentimental person when it comes to stuff like that. I don't show it very much. Like when someone gives me a surprise or something, I have no idea what to do with my hands. That's a phrase you guys will hear me use a lot. I don't know what to do with my hands, which is just meaning like I don't know what to do with myself. My filter like stops working. I kind of freeze and I just, you know, oh, thank you. I love it. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, I really do. It's not until later that I will start looking at the thing and go, oh my gosh, this person thought of me and that's so sweet and I love it. And I keep all that kind of stuff. I have all kinds of things like that people have, gifted me. Last year at one of the shows I taught, at the end of the show, the gal's name was Dawn. And she came up to me after the class and she said, I made ornaments for all of my teachers who taught classes. And you can pick one out of this bag. And I picked a little sewing machine and I just thought that was the sweetest thing. And it will remain on my tree for the rest of forever. I loved it. Okay, should we see how our corners turned out, by the way? I wanted to make sure before I told you, oh, this is how I got it to be perfect last time. I actually get it to look good before I tell you that because I don't remember. Clearly I should have made more notes on my PDF. So hopefully it looks good. By the way, now you know about the Disney rash. If you didn't know about the Disney rash, I saw somebody, I think it was Elizabeth, in the comments here say, I had that rash. People think it's like bed bugs or like poison ivy or something else. They think it's like an external thing. And it kind of is, but it's just your body's reaction to this thing. It's not poison. You didn't get bit by anything. You just are having a hard time with the standing and the humidity. So things that help get rid of it are compression socks, elevating yourself, and not staying on your feet for too long. And, just one thing that I used to always wear, which I think is why I never got it, but also the colder temperatures because heat makes it worse. I always wore really high compression leggings. So I didn't wear compression socks, but I did wear leggings that were really tight all the way to the ankle. That's just my preferred clothing. It was just happenstance that happens to help. But I wear, lace up tennis shoes that are laced pretty tight. And then, those compression leggings. And seriously, it helps a ton. Okay, let me finish poking this out, and then I'm going to show it to you, and then good golly, you guys, I have to go to bed. Tonight, I was supposed to be batch sewing all this stuff, and that didn't happen because shenanigans. But I did just have a procedure yesterday, and I am tired. So. I'm using the blunt end of my seam ripper, and I think my corners, it's a little hard to tell right now because they're not all pushed out, but I think they turned out exactly how I wanted them to. So I think I remembered how to do it. I got a little tight on my seam allowance here. If I had left myself a bit more room, they would be like perfect. So I needed to make my zipper a little shorter. I made it a little too long, and that's exactly what causes the dented corner issue. But this is damn near perfect. I do think I didn't top stitch it last time though. So tomorrow I'm going to experiment with that because I really think the top stitching has something to do with it. So this is done, and I have just the littlest bit of a wrinkle right there. And if I had given myself a little bit more space and made this a tad shorter, this wouldn't be that weird little hump right there. It would be way, way smoother. I would have that on both sides. So I just got a little bit too close. I need to make this overall zipper a little bit shorter and move my tab in. But that's why I left those notes on the PDF for myself, and I just haven't like made any of these from scratch in a super long time. So I need to just zip up the bottom of this one though. Close it off here. Oh, and that's gonna be all she wrote for me. If I hadn't spent so much time screwing around with other stuff, I'd have gotten all these done, and now I'm minus one of my pouches. Well, I still have one side of it, so I just need to recut the other side and then take that zipper out. So that'll be tomorrow's project. And now I'll know to make that shorter, because then it would be perfect. Before I hop off, I'll read through any little comments here. I saw somebody asked, I think that might have been you, Anita, who asked what area of Texas I lived in. I live in DFW. I'm much more south than Wichita Falls. I am in a city called Midlothian that nobody knows, except for people who've been to Midlothian. It's just south of Cedar Hill. We're about, I'd say 35 to 40 minutes south of Dallas. So, oops, that should give you a general idea of about where I am. Cedar Hill is the next closest city. Mansfield is also pretty close to me. Waxahachie is pretty close to me. I kind of live in the middle of all of those, in like a little no man's land area. Oh, come on. So that's where I be. Up until like, what, 8 years ago now, the city was like, I don't know, 1,000 people. Was not very big, and it's still not very big. It's probably only, I'd say, I don't know, 3,000 people now. It's not very big. You know, they're building like crazy out there just because they're building everywhere like crazy, but there's kind of not really anything where I live. We just got a second McDonald's. That's how tiny my town is. They finally decided to build something, and all they did was build a second McDonald's. Like, we have nothing out there. We didn't need a second McDonald's. Corey and I make that joke all the time. We got so excited when they finally started to build something. We were like, yes, this is going to put our town on the map, baby. We're going to get something real, like a sit-down restaurant or another grocery store. Oh, second McDonald's. So, yeah, tiny town. Little place. I don't even understand how they have enough people to staff or patron a second McDonald's, to be completely honest with you. But apparently we do. They didn't even shut down the other McDonald's. We thought maybe they were gonna, but they didn't. So now we just have 2 McDonald's and nothing else. Okay, well, good grief. That was way too much effort for a zip pouch, but I hope, if anything, at least, I don't know, something was insightful, entertaining, enlightening, helped you pass the time. At least you could laugh at me and all of my nonsense and whatever, or I don't know, maybe you didn't. No idea, but that was way too much effort for a goofy little boxed thing with this machine and the shenanigans and all of that. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read through these, and then I am going to hop off. So, okay, now you know how I got the ring back. Okay, yeah, so Elizabeth, she says, yes, sewing and tea. So I think that's maybe what I'll start renaming these. Sewing on the road, you know, the lives will just be sewing and tea. And that'll just confuse everyone who wasn't on this live. Yeah, so you said that you had it on your ankles the week of the expo. Yeah, that sounds like a thing. Elizabeth, how do you know that Valmir is speaking Portuguese? That's funny. Maybe you translated it. So very quick little story about that. I worked for a restaurant when I was younger, and there were a bunch of people there who worked there who spoke Portuguese. And they taught me how to answer the phone, which I don't remember. And then they taught me some very silly little inappropriate phrase, I guess, that I still remember to this day. Oh, well, actually, what they taught me to say was that I don't speak Portuguese. Eu não falo português, I think is how you say it, if I remember it right. And they taught me that because lots of people used to call on the phone and immediately start speaking in Portuguese, and I didn't speak Portuguese. So I had to learn how to say that and then put the phone on hold and take it to somebody who spoke Portuguese. It was a Brazilian steakhouse, and I don't know why there were so many people there. You know, the owners were not Brazilian, but anyway, yeah, there were just a lot of people there who would patron and who worked there who spoke Portuguese. So they taught me to say that. And the other thing that they taught me to say was something about I can't remember the whole phrase, but something about oh gosh, now I can't remember it. This is probably not going to make sense because I think it was an inside joke at the time. Something about El Pato Fumar Macona? Something like that. Something about ducks smoking weed. I don't know. I was a teenager. I was like 14. And they were older, and I'm sure that they thought this was very funny. But yeah, anyway, so that is the Portuguese that I know. And I used to hear them speaking it all the time, and I did understand a bit of it. You know, they had phrases and things they would use, but I cannot for the life of me remember any of it. So that's my very uneducated, small experience with Portuguese. So, but that's good to know that you are speaking Portuguese. So, Valmir, I assume you are either from / or are in a Portuguese speaking country, or perhaps that was your native language and you live elsewhere now. So thank you for tuning in. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for the kind compliments. Let's see. Elizabeth says, yeah, I almost threw the bag out, but I really like the fabric. It's Paper World, and it's OG Paper World from there. I don't know if they've even ever done a rerun, but it's OG Paper World, which was one of my unicorn fabrics for the longest time. Anybody who's seen the Backstitch Paper World, it's so cute, and I love it, and so I can't throw out the bag, but it is in my closet. I don't really take it anywhere anymore, and I do kind of secretly hate it, even though it's my fault, but I still, you know, eventually it'll be fine. Yeah, so let's see. Anita said, I actually live in Henrietta and we don't have any McDonald's. Well, you could have one of ours because we don't need two. There's never a line at either of them. That's what I don't really understand. And who at McDonald's headquarters was like, who in the R&D department was like zeroing in on our tiny town and was like, guys, hear me out. Second location. Like, who, you know what I mean? Who did that? I don't know who thought that was a great idea or why that's like some huge stream of revenue or something. I live right next to the second one. It's literally right across the street from my house. And I pass by it all the time and there's never a line there. So I'm wondering, you know what I mean? Like who deemed our tiny town worthy of a second McDonald's? It's weird to me. So anyway, yeah. Monica, I didn't see it. I don't know if it's up there. I'm sure you said it, and that was very nice of you. So I'll have to go back and look. I'll have to actually look while you guys are on the screen. And thank you for reminding me because I already forgot again. This is what I'm saying. I need to like put it on a note somewhere. I'll put it in my phone or in my calendar before we get off here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look. Anybody who's doing Wingo, it's tomorrow night, and yeah. In fact, I'm gonna pull out my little board and I'm gonna set it here to remind me. That'll be a good idea. I need to iron it now. It's been all crunched up in a bag, but this is my Wingo board. I'm going to put it here to remind me that like, hey, you have a thing, and I'm sure I'll be late for it because I'll forget about it. That's totally a thing I would do. So anyway, let's see. Elizabeth said, thanks so much for the great chat. Of course, there is one thing I can always be counted on for, and that's chatting. I'm kind of talkative if you didn't know. But yes, I think it is time. I'm giving up on the sewing tonight. I have a little more in me. I am tired, but like, I just feel like if I keep going, you know what I mean? You ever get that feeling like something's going to get messed up if I keep going? And it already kind of did. I'm annoyed about that one panel. I batch cut all this stuff and now I'm like, I don't want to re-batch cut other stuff. So tomorrow is a new day, which means new sewing. And where we left off on the last video, we were talking about, you know, one of my favorite people that I follow named Tabitha Brown, and she always ends her videos by telling everybody that if you can't have a good day, don't go messing up anybody else's. That was the theme of what we were talking about last time, and I want to continue that theme. So, you know, as she would say, and then the other version of that quote is don't yuck somebody else's yum. So, you know, all different versions of that. Have a good day. If you can't, like, just swallow it, go do something nice for yourself, and, you know, or do something nice for somebody else. There's always the best way to fill up your own cup, in my opinion, is by doing something nice for somebody else, even if it's just like a little thing that you wouldn't normally do. So, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Tomorrow, I don't even know what day it is of the week. I've been out of it for half the week because I've had a procedure. I think tomorrow is Friday. It is Friday because it's Wingo. So, it'll be happy Friday and happy start to the weekend, and I will see you guys at some point, and hopefully next time we have better signal. I think the iPad worked out pretty well, so I think we'll do that in future. But anybody who's doing Wingo, I will see you tomorrow. So good night. Bye-bye. If I can figure out how to end this. Nope. Still not. Maybe? Okay.